Hey mathematicians, now that we did number one together very slowly, I'm going to invite you to try problem two on your own, but I'm going to give you all the answers in this video. So it would definitely be better if you pause the video, try to figure out exactly what you should do, and then restart the video to find the correct answers. So I'm going to assume that you've already done that you have paused the video, that you've tried it on your own, and now you're ready to check. So for starters, we have a 450-gallon tank full of water. So the initial value of the tank is 450. Then we notice it's draining. Oops, wrong color. Draining means that it's losing water. So we're going to subtract 20. And because it says gallons per minute, we're going to do, remember, per means that you're going to multiply. So we're going to do the 450. We're going to take away 20. And then we're going to multiply it by 7 minutes. So if I have calculated that all correctly, I should have 310 for my first answer. So now, how long will it take for the tank to have 200 gallons? Again, like I did in problem number one, I think it's better to do problem C first before doing problem B because the equation is going to be helpful. So because it's an equation, I'm going to write an equal sign. And because this is saying or asking for the gallons of water in the tank, okay, I'm going to use the variable y to represent the gallons of water in the tank. It's equal to, what is it equal to? Well, it's equal to that 450 that we started with minus 20 times the number of minutes. Well, this time we don't know how many minutes. So what do we do when we don't know how many? We use a variable. And I am going to use the variable x. So the equation that is represented here is y equals 450 minus 20x. And the reason I use x and y is because the graphing calculator that I showed you in the previous video doesn't understand other variables besides x and y. So we got to use x and y in order to be able to use the graphing calculator. And that's kind of what the goal of this lesson is to graph your equation. So now that I've got an equation, I'm going to go back and use it to solve B. So I'm going to go back to B, and I just moved the equation from the previous step up here. And the only thing I need to change is the fact that I know that I'm going to replace this y with 200 gallons because y is what I use for gallons of water. And I'm going to use the graphing calculator in order to help me figure that out. So I showed you how to use the graphing calculator in the previous video. So all I'm going to do is give you a screenshot of what the calculator looks like. So here's the picture of my graph. And remember that this second number is your y. And the first number is your x. And it's asking me how long will it take. So that means it's asking for the number of minutes. So because the number of minutes that matched up with 200 is 12.5, that means that the number of minutes that it will be is 12.5. Now, it's okay for us to have a decimal in this case. I know in the last problem, we didn't have a decimal, and that's because you can definitely have half of a minute, right? So we've got 12.5 minutes for part B. So that means your answer for part B should be 12.5 minutes. For part D, it says graph your equation using graphing technology and mark the point. Well, where after 7 minutes. Well, remember that 7 minutes is your x. So this is your x on the graph. And so the amount of gallons is your y. So your answer for the first part here is going to be this ordered pair at 7 minutes. We have 310 gallons. So you can just use the ordered pair 7 and 310. Next, to figure out when the tank has 200 gallons, remember that that is going to be your y, which that is your y, and the x that goes along with it represents the time. So our answer for this ordered pair is going to be 12.5 and 200, because that is where on the graph you have 12.5 minutes and then 200 gallons. So this is the answer we should have for the next part. Finally, it asks, how long will it take until the tank is empty? So when it's empty, that means that there will be 0 gallons in the tank. So on the graph, that means that your y value is going to be 0 because it's completely empty. So that means the x value that goes along with it is 22.5. And because it's in minutes, that means it's going to be 22.5 minutes. So all the answers you should have to receive full credit for this activity in your workbook page. So you should have 310. You should have 12.5 minutes. You should have this equation. You should have these 2 ordered pairs. And finally, you should have this many minutes. So please go ahead and double check and make sure you got all that before you turn in your assignment.